This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Melissa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. Hey guys, happy Monday. Today's guest is Justine Rhodes. She is the host of Mentally a Badass, which you heard her ads for. I ran those a couple months ago, and I was on her show, and now she's been on mine, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this conversation. She is very real. She is someone who has struggled with her mental health, and she talks about that. She's created this community of like-minded people who are just trying to spread more awareness and I feel like give people a better vocabulary for what they're experiencing. So I love her. I consider her a friend, and I was just so glad to have her on. So I'm keeping this intro short because I've had a little bit of a stressful day. So I just don't have a lot to give right now, so I'm going to get this intro done, but, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening, and I know you're going to love this conversation between Justine and I, and, don't forget to listen to the ads. I love you. Here's me and Justine. Emotionally unavailable.
Lately, it feels like we can't agree on anything. Not the news, not the future, not even what matters. And it's exhausting, feeling like you can't make a difference. But the truth is, you can. And at GoFundMe, we'll help you do it. Start a fundraiser at GoFundMe.com today and help fund a wheelchair ramp someone needs to leave their house. Or give a foster child a room makeover they never thought possible. That's what Peter did. He launched a GoFundMe to transform 20 bedrooms for kids who never had a space of their own. Each room personalized with their favorite colors, books, and dreams. You don't have to fix everything, but you can start something right now. Something good for someone who needs it. And when we do that, when we take care of each other, even quietly, we remember who we really are. Not divided, not distant, just human. GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform. Start something good today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. Make a difference today at GoFundMe.com. This message is brought to you by GoFundMe.
Okay, can you say something?
How about now?
Okay, I got you now. Yeah, I had to switch my speakers to go through my headset. That's what it was.
I was like, well, I'm not muted. It says I'm
Yeah.
muted.
I had a feeling it was that because it's Google Meet, and I haven't used it with this mic before. So I was like, I have a feeling it's me. Let me see if I can figure this out. I was like, okay, yeah, it was attached to my speaker, and since everything's connected, it's like not really going anywhere. So I had to switch
Bastard
it to
technology. God.
Oh,
Hey, do you
let
want
me
me to
just
admit this read AI meeting notes?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. It like follows me from Zoom.
Do you want it or no?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Because I
still
already
trying to
kicked it
figure out
out
how to
once.
get
It
that out.
joined before you did. And I kicked it out.
That's so
And
weird.
then since it like asked to come back on, I was like, oh, maybe Justine wants the little AI note taker. Maybe she do. What do we know? Shit. Man, let me
No.
tell you how relieved I was whenever I looked at my calendar this morning and saw it was you. Because zero pretense, like I don't have to tell you how I do shit, like I don't have to worry about fucking offending you, like there's nothing, there's zero worry.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
it's so nice because I'm in the middle of this fucking room transformation for my daughter, whose birthday is Monday, but her party is tomorrow. And Justine, she's been dreaming of this fucking room for about 5 months. She has a vision board, she has a keep. I mean, this baby. And I was like, how do I not do that? But
Yeah.
it also is very stressful. So I've been looking like mad shit all week. Not that I usually care too much about that, but here we are. So I was glad to not even have to think about that because I was like, Justine don't care. She'll give fuck away. How have you been, man?
I'm good. What was the last time we spoke? A couple of months ago. Well, I mean, we talk
Yeah.
on social, but
Yeah.
by the way, yeah, I messaged you this morning, asking if it was just audio or audio and video.
Oh, I never saw that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I think I sent it like an hour and a half ago. It wasn't
Okay.
yeah, something like that. I think it was around 10.
I'm sorry, man.
Well, oh no, you're fine. So is it just audio or is it?
In months from now, whenever I take the time to upload it to YouTube, it could end up there, but
Okay.
I'm
Should I
not
put my light on?
I'm not very
Uh,
consistent. Baby, we're a no frills show. We don't care about lighting. Okay. We don't care about shit like lighting.
Yeah, I didn't do my makeup or anything. I'm just kind of like, I wore this shirt last night to bed.
As did I.
Yeah.
And I'm a sweaty mess because I'm about to start my period. So
I'm like in the middle of mine.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm.
What's today's date? The 6th? Oh, today's the 6 portal. I don't really know what that means, but somebody said it and I was like, that feels good. That feels really good. Okay, so I thought a good place to start, because you started your show, I would say, for really similar reasons to why I started mine. And so I thought a good place to start would be to talk about your show, and then kind of we can just let the conversation take us where we want it to, or we can know that we're talking about the show and then how, like what it is now and then why you started it. Because I mean, it's not like we've gotten super into that, but I just think it's important for people to hear how passions and purpose can manifest, how they can look different, how you can have a spark and follow it, or even some you let go. I'm sure you're in the entrepreneurial space like me. There's been lots of things that we picked up and then said, oh, not mine, put down.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's like also the ADHD too.
Oh my God, word. Well, I just think that your podcast specifically, a lot like Heather from Hot Mess Espresso, I know you guys have connected. You both know Amy.
Yes, I love Amy. She's so sweet.
Me too. So your show, Mentally a Badass, which is a great show, and I'm still obsessed with your logo. Tell me about how you started it, how long it's been going, and why you started it.
Yeah, so Mentally a Badass started in 2021. This was actually an extension from my YouTube channel. I retired from YouTube. It was called Life with Justine. I started in 2016, essentially doing comedy sketches and then lifestyle. And then I was like, I want to do, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, I love content creation. I already discovered that. But I was like, I want to do something like with more purpose, because I feel like everyone was doing comedy and lifestyle. And although it was fun, I just wanted to just do more. So I was like, oh, let me do like a mental health segment. And so I did do like a mental health series and then do videos with advice. But it wasn't giving as much traction as I hoped. So at that time, podcasting was starting to get more popular, and it wasn't as saturated as it is today. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can switch to podcasting. And so I started the podcast, and just pretty much what I did was just make it audio. And then after a couple of episodes, people were asking to be on the podcast to tell their story. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then so I started interviewing them, and then more and more people came, and I was like, okay, at this point, let's just turn it into an interview-based podcast. And so at that time, it was mostly like, well, not mostly, all friends and family. And yeah, so that part was pretty cool. And then so I opened up an Instagram account to promote the podcast. And then I decided to bring some of my TikTok videos into Instagram, so just repurposing them. And this was when Instagram Reels were just like starting to get popular. And so I got really lucky where those videos did like semi-viral. Like I was getting consistently like 30,000 views, 40,000 views, and it was like blowing up. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Like this is definitely something that people want to see. And so I was doing really well. And so since I was getting like a lot more traction and followers were growing, and then my podcast was growing, I was like, I can't do this by myself, because I also had like my other business, and it was just too much. So that's when I invited Ariel on to the to the brand itself. So she was helping me with like Instagram posts, and she was doing all of like at that time we were doing a lot of graphics and things like that. That's when that was popular with like slides and carousels. So the reason I invited her on was because she was doing a lot of like behind the scenes stuff with me. So she will help me with photos and like any teaser videos. Fun fact, Mentally Badass also has like a coloring book on Amazon that I don't really promote. Just because, well, I promoted a lot like when it came out in like 2021. But then I just like stop, because to be honest with you, like it was cool, but it's not really something I really care to. Okay, there's a lot I promote with Mentally Badass, and it's just I'm trying to not make
promotion's a lot, and you have to like streamline where your focus is for real.
Right, exactly. So like that's not like my main focus right now. So anyway, but it's on Amazon. It just really just called Mentally a Badass. Yeah. So so she gave me that idea, and she was just involved like in the background. So I was like, why don't you just come on and do this with me? And then at that time she quit her job for health reasons. I quit my job, and I was like, okay, well, we got the time. Well, let's do this together. And so so then that was when it was born. And then right now, how it is today, I made a whole like I don't know what the right word is, like ecosystem powerhouse for mental health. So the main thing is community, and that's where like the heart is, and that's like the main like end goal is that we'd say make mental health talk the norm. But I want to go like there's different ways of doing that. So Mentally Badass is a podcast, as well as a clothing line and a community group, and then of course entertainment on Instagram and such. So essentially I just want to make it a whole lifestyle. But fun fact, originally when I started Mentally Badass, the podcast, it was more of like, okay, people who are mentally ill are badasses. Even though that is true, now I'm pivoting a little bit to a mission statement being like people like being vulnerable is pretty badass. 'Cause I think that's really the hardest thing. And another, and also expanding like people who are on my podcast is like, you don't have to have like a mental illness to be on my podcast.
Right.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call. You talk to one of them, they stay anonymous. I can't hang up. That's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.
So that's really normalizing it, is that mental health should be across the board. Like, I mean,
it's not about mental illness. It's about taking care of your mental health.
Exactly. So like, even though it started based off of, mental illness, such like bipolar, BPD,
right.
And I love having those conversations on here, but like, I interview people from all over the place, and everybody has a story where it comes like if they have trauma, and like I'm getting more very specific. So that's why I'm saying like, that's why I switched it to, instead of just like, oh, for people who are mentally ill, it's like I want to put it more towards being vulnerable is pretty badass, because I feel like that's something that's really hard in our society, is being vulnerable. And I've actually learned recently that apparently I have a hard time being vulnerable and didn't realize it, hence why I laugh at everything. And so I've noticed just in my like life outside of the internet is that I have like a huge influence on people when it comes to them being vulnerable and being more open. And I've noticed that people feel like it's okay to be open, because like, so when I noticed that, I was like, I want to do it on a bigger scale. And that's where we have the lovely internet to do that, and the podcast, and just meeting people. And I'm also just so happy that I created the Facebook community. Like about maybe like a month or two ago, it had, I think, 40 people in it, and now it's like at 127. So it's actually growing pretty fast.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Ariel and I are taking it more seriously now, so we're trying to like post every day or 6 days a week. And so I also created I think, are you in the group chat? Yeah. So, the group chat where people are like active in it and giving resources and talking about what happened during their day and venting. It's like, this is what I want. Like, this is my vision of what I want to see. And there's people who are like making friends with each other. And like, at the end of the day, and you're a therapist, you know how important community is. Like, literally some of the best medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is having your community. And I can, people talk to my podcast, like at the end of the day, like as human beings, we had our tribe, and in this world, we are very disconnected. So thinking about like, just first, like as a human being, we need community. And then if we're disconnected, and also like you and I both know, our country is kind of a reality show right now, which doesn't really
That's
help.
a great way to say that. Yeah. It fucking is. It
really is. Yeah, the girls are fighting right now. So
yeah, I heard. I just saw. I don't allow myself to watch any of it.
Yeah.
But today there was a parody clip of the ex.
It's so hard not to watch.
I had to because the guy was so fucking hilarious, and he did look so much like EM that I was like, damn, that was funny.
Yeah, I actually just posted a TikTok like right before I got on here, because I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, I feel like this is a reality show, and then we're like all extras,
No, so real. Yes, because what the fuck? Because we are all in the show. We are in the show. We're not primary characters or nothing, but we're certainly there. Let me ask you this, because my show is called Emotionally Unavailable, and you have just learned that you have trouble being vulnerable, which is a form of being emotionally available. So if you don't mind me asking, how did you discover that?
Yeah, so first of all, you can ask me anything you want. I really don't care.
Okay.
The only thing is this, I would prefer not, it's just like my eye situation. But besides, I ask whatever you want. Anyway, where was I? So I actually figured this out when I don't know if I told you that I'm in acting classes. Did I tell you this?
I don't remember if you did.
Probably not. It was probably like right before, because I interviewed you like a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so I was doing acting classes, and one of the classes was, being vulnerable. And so I thought, I was like, this is going to be so easy for me. I was like, I got this. And my teacher, he knows I do like the podcast and everything. And he even like thought that, oh yeah, this is going to be, he was like, oh yeah, just you already know this or whatever. And what the exercise is that we had to do an imaginary monologue. So we had an empty chair, and then you had to like pretty much talk to, I guess, someone who's wronged you and things like that. And allow yourself to feel those emotions and be vulnerable. And so when I was doing it, all I felt was anxiety. So I was, I'm not going to say who I was talking about, but like I was talking to this person, and all I felt was anxiety. And in my head, I'm just like, Justine, like, she's not there. You know what I mean? But then I think what it was is that I was literally like not on a stage, but like right in front of my class.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would have anxiety too, for sure. Good for you for being in acting classes for real, because I would love it and hate it at the same time. You know, our little Leo asses that you want to be seen, but yet you're so fucking afraid of it. That's our plight, you know.
Yeah. But then like I had moments where I was like chuckling. And like, you know how I am, I'm like laughing and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is a role where I have to allow myself to feel the feelings. And I was saying stuff that was childhood trauma, that I was opening up in front of my class and how I felt as a child, which is, you know, really hard to do. I was trying to get deep, you know, because you got to get deep to really let it out. And
but you were having trouble accessing the emotions.
Right. And my teacher noticed that I kept like editing. That's what he was saying. Like he noticed that I'll get somewhere and then I would like pivot. And then he was like, you were self-editing. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And how perfect of you to get this understanding in this way.
Yeah. So when we're all done, by the way, like pretty much everybody in the class cried. Like I was like, man, you guys are all so great. Everyone's tearing. Everyone is just letting it all out. And I'm just like, trauma.
Audience, she's got the biggest fucking smile on her face.
It's like a freaking
Everybody else is crying and she's got that like, well, hello.
Well, yay. Thanks for being a bitch to me as a child, or thank you for making me feel like I'm a horrible human being and I'm stupid and ugly. Thank you so much. Anyway, so after that, he goes around. He was like, so I want you guys to tell me how you felt about the exercise. And then when he comes to me, I was like, to be honest with you, I thought I would do a lot better. And I actually felt it very challenging. And he was like, asking me why. And then I said to him, I was like, I'm shocked that I had such a hard time being vulnerable. And then I explained to him why I felt it was hard for me. And then I started crying.
Yeah.
And then what I said was,
you accessed it then.
Yeah.
The fear was actually all around that.
Yeah. And so what I said to him was that I think the reason it was hard for me is because when I was a child, anytime I would be vulnerable is I would get like, oh, you're too sensitive, or oh, like I would always be dismissed. So either people would neglect me, dismiss me, or get angry and violent with me. So I think like
flat out, you weren't allowed to have feelings or express them.
Yes, I was it was either dismissed, neglected, or when I say violent, I don't mean like hitting me in the face, more just like screaming and being terrifying and such. So
just as bad.
Yeah. And so
almost worse. As a person who's experienced every level of abuse, I would say the hitting me did much less damage to me than all the other shit.
You know, I've heard that from people too, like who've been abused and punched and hit, and they were like, yeah, no, emotional abuse for like long periods of time is actually like, they're like, that's
that loud inconsistency. Never know when someone, except you kind of do know that maybe it wasn't these two footsteps, but that third one's going to be the one that sets them off again. Like you do know it's coming at some point. You just never know when. Yeah. And that shit is a form of torture.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too is that my boyfriend, up until he was 6 years old, he was in the foster care system. Well, actually, no, I think he was in the foster care until he was 6, but he was in a loving home those 2 years before. So really 0 to 4, his mother was like a sex worker and he was not in a good environment. Right. And then in the foster care system, he was like abused and starved and all of that bad stuff. Right. And then he said to me, like, between his childhood and my childhood, he was like, he said, like, I prefer my childhood. Like when I'll talk about
I know what he means by that too, because he's like, they weren't ever supposed to love me. Like that made sense to me. But when it's somebody who is supposed to, you know, when you have created all these expectations and they're just betraying you over and over and over, it is different.
And like my boyfriend lived with me and my parents for about a year, and what's crazy is that my boyfriend had like a lot of anxiety living in that household. Like he would remove himself from like the living room a lot, I would notice. And the crazy thing too is that it would never be towards him. He just didn't like constantly seeing my parents fight.
Yeah,
just
the conflict
constantly.
was too much.
It's just a constant conflict that it's so normalized in like my household, where like for me, I'm just immune to it. Where like him, he's not. Like when I mean, obviously we all families have their own problems and such, but at least when I'm like with his family, there's not really like constant arguments,
Right.
and it's more like warm and this and that. And so he will always remove himself. And I noticed anytime like my parents were fighting, he would always just go to his room. And so I felt bad. And then but it's crazy too, is that's like nothing to me.
Yeah.
It was way worse as a child. And there was a lot of it towards me. So when I told him that, he was like, yeah, I prefer my childhood. he was like, I don't think I could live through that like every day. And then like it was way worse when I was a child, because my parents have calmed down over the years. So like it's crazy how, I don't know, it's just like the fact that like that was a lot, and just knowing like it was just 20 million times worse. Because like I said, like, they're getting older, so they calm down, and we don't have my sister in the equation there. That's like amplifying it. So it's, and then probably the dog barking in the background. So it's like, yeah, it's just at the dog there. But you know, it's just when he told me that he preferred his childhood over mine, I was like, are you saying
Did you feel seen though? Did you feel seen?
Yeah. I didn't realize my childhood was that fucked up pretty much.
No, and what you're saying is such a great example of what the people in this country have done to themselves about their experiences. Even I was on a panel for the foster care agency that I grew up in, and we were talking about kinship care, and I said, I'm going to be really honest, because I don't think about the fact that I was in foster care very much, because it was with my grandma. So it just didn't seem, I minimalized and trivialized that experience my whole life, because I knew people like your boyfriend who, because I was in foster care. So I'm meeting those kids who are in families with people who, you know, aren't biological family, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh, somehow that's got to be worse. So like, and I do think it's worse, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have my own shit. And this is what we're doing, is we take like stuff that we have become so accustomed to in our family system, and we go, well, it's my normal, so it's probably normal for everyone. And everybody's got like, everyone else has it worse in some way. Like, yeah, I mean, they're kind of mean, but like, I'm pretty used to believing I'm the problem in this situation. So I'm sure that's true. And then the result of that, or a byproduct, is that we grow up and we feel fucking fundamentally unlovable. Because it was all our fault. We were creating that conflict anyway.
And you know what's crazy too is like not even realizing it is like, because when I was in high school, I was self-harming, but I don't think I realized how much. I think I just thought I hated myself, not because of how people treated me, but I just did. Like I didn't really, I guess, understand that contributed to it, because you know at that time I didn't know anything when it came to psychology.
Realize you've been programmed to hate yourself from the day you were born. Absolutely.
That's what it was. That's what it was. It's not like I'm like, oh, I hate myself because people are treating me like shit. It's like, no, I hate myself because like I really am a shitty person, and this is why I should be called all this.
Stay out of trouble. Exactly. No, I have a client who's had some major breakthroughs in this area just in the last few months, when she finally was able to accept that, like, it's okay to say the things that my parents did were really fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, it's changed the relationship she has with them, but at the same time, she doesn't fucking hate herself anymore. And she didn't realize how all that programming, and again, it came down to like taking full accountability as a child who then grows up to an adult to still take full accountability. I mean, she was under a fundamental belief that she received the level of physical abuse that she did because she was just such a hard kid. She believed herself to be that bad of a person. There isn't a person on this earth that there isn't a child that deserves to be punched by their fucking parent. You know,
Mhm.
like, and that's how easy kids take on the blame. And it's just our brains. Our brains go, if I can take responsibility for this, I can stay safe because
Mhm.
all I have to do is be perfect. And then this all stops. Versus living with the understanding that I have really fucking inconsistent caregivers who don't know what the fuck they're doing. How does
Yeah.
a kid rationalize that, you know?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
So when I was a child, like my mom wouldn't hit me, and because she was beaten when she was grown up, and like
Right.
in that generation, so she was like, I'm never gonna hit my kid.
Yes.
But I remember like when it would be like she would get like really, really, really angry, where it'd be hard for her to regulate her emotions. And of course, naturally, I think we understand as adults now, it's just a lot going on and stress and whatever. And it can be hard if a kid's, I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah.
my mom wouldn't hit me. But I remember, I think she would I don't think she hit a wall, but she would like do something aggressive to the side. So to a child, like even though she's not hitting me, like how does that affect the
That's
child?
still violence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So even though you're not receiving a direct hit, anything over like a Justine, I have told you, anything over that where you're getting to that screaming shit, just that alone is a form of violence. And then you go into like moms getting physically aggressive with anything, that is a form of violence. And so we know that when a child is exposed, especially visually, to violence, first of all, think about how your body took that impact. Even though it wasn't happening to your body, you're still bracing, you're still guarding, you're still doing all of the things. And then what it tells you is you're not safe in this environment.
That's so true. And like I remember my mom screaming when I was a child was just like inhuman. Like it was like
Feral.
demonic. It was just
Mhm.
like, and the last time she did this to me was actually before I moved out when I was 21. But the thing is with that is that I didn't sit for it. I just left. I left the environment, and I was stronger because I'm like an adult. I just like graduated college with my psych degree, and like
yeah, you
I was
had learned enough to kind of
yes.
get some backbone. Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing that happened too is like this is what actually what happened is that I was at like a friend's house, a college friend's house for like he's like was like 40-ish minutes away. And I think it was in the summer. And so I got back around maybe 1 a.m. and my mom was calling me. I was on my way home. And I don't know if I gave her a time I was coming home. Also, I'm a 21-year-old girl, and I lived in Florida for like 3 months doing the program. Like I kind of thought I was like an adult, like I can kind of, and so she would call me, but I'm like, I was on the turnpike. So like naturally I'm not going to go and pick up my phone and answer. And at that time,
yeah.
And at that time I didn't have like a screen where I could just do like pickup or whatever. Like this was like 2017. And so I didn't pick up. So when I got home, my mom was pissed. She was waiting for me in the living room. She starts screaming at me. This is like 1 a.m. And I'm thinking in my head, like, Dad's sleeping. Like, he's going to get woken up. And so she's screaming at me, like, where were you? You didn't answer your phone. And I was like, Mom, I was driving. I didn't, like, wouldn't you be more happy if I wasn't answering my phone, considering I'm trying to get home safely? Like, if I answered my phone at 1 a.m. on the turnpike, that could have been, if I wasn't paying attention, like, how would you feel if I got and died? Because I was trying to answer your call. And I was trying to explain that to her, but her logical brain was completely shut off.
She was
where nothing was making sense.
Yep.
She was worked up. She was like ready to just attack me once I opened that door. Once she heard the key, she was ready to like go for it. And so she's screaming at me. And I mean, I don't remember exactly what she was saying, but she was like barking and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, why are you, like, she blew up. She had like,
she was scared. Yeah.
Yes. And then so I was like, in my head, I'm like, why are you like, okay, I'm like, I said to her, I'm like, listen, I can understand that, but I'm telling you why I didn't answer. This is why I didn't answer. I wasn't ignoring you. I wasn't trying to piss you off. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was doing the right thing.
Shit.
Yeah, but she kept going. And then when she kept doing that, I was just like, I was going up the stairs to my room. So that pissed her off even more because she was losing control.
Mhm.
And she got so much. Then she started banging things. I think at that point she's like, don't you leave, or like. And I'm just like, Mom, you're having an episode right now. I told them, like, I don't know if I said
having
episode.
an episode. I love it.
I used the word episode with her, but I said to her, I was like, you're having one of your moments. I think that's what I said. You're having one of your
doing the
moments
most right now.
Like it's happening right now. And so I'm just gonna remove myself from the situation because this is the best thing to do. And like I said, her logical brain was 100% shut off. Nothing what she was saying was making any sense. And so I went up to my room and I just closed the door. And thankfully, she wasn't that crazy to the point where she would come and like try to get into my room. So thank God. But so she kind of like didn't go further than the stairs. But I was thinking in my head too, my dad was just like, I'm assuming he was sleeping. I can't imagine anyone sleeping through that. You know what I mean? He probably was hearing it and was like, I'm not getting involved. You know what I mean?
He's like, oh, the girls are fighting.
Okay, here she goes. Because he knows how my mom is. So you're like, yeah. So anyway, so that was the last time she had like blew up on me like that. You know what I mean? So, but I remember it very well. And so that was, and then you know what's crazy? I bring it up to her sometimes, and she's still kind of like, Justine, you have to understand as a mother. She'd be like, you have to understand as a mother, blah blah blah. I'm like, listen. Like, I know I'm not a mother and everything.
You scared her and she didn't know how to deal with the feel. You get all of it. We understand perfectly that you lost your goddamn mind and didn't know how to handle it. I'm asking you to own that shit now and say, I fucked up a little bit. I did lose my shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't remember if she did, but I know that recently, like about 2 months ago, when I was talking to her, she actually owned up with like everything she did to me as a child. And I can't remember what flipped the switch there. I don't know if she was maybe she was watching a lot of like Instagram reels of like therapists, or I think that's what it was. I think it was like this holistic therapist. I don't know if you could have seen her. She's like really, really popular.
The holistic psychologist?
Yes.
That was my first break into understanding trauma.
Yes.
So, and I think your mom's like close to my age. How old is she?
60.
Oh no, she's older. Okay. Well, most of us, the holistic psychologist, I swear to God, was like the first person I ever saw posting that level of content, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's so detailed.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I don't like about it now, having looked back at what I was learning, is that it did a whole lot of explaining your nervous system, which made sense to me. And it did a whole lot of explaining trauma. And that made me feel so much better, like less of a psycho. But it didn't tell me how to discover like the root of why I was behaving this way. And so once I really understood my wounding, then I can go back to that and be like, oh, this is what's coming up. I don't even struggle with that type of shit anymore. I have a betrayal wound that's huge as fuck and a neglect wound that's huge as fuck. So they get triggered pretty often, but I just don't play with them anymore. The second the thoughts start, I know what the narrative is. I know it's a lie. And so, but I have been trying to like integrate a little bit of like internal family systems where if let's say a neglect thought comes up, because I have this happens a lot, where especially right now I'm really overwhelmed and stressed, right? So I'm trying to get all this shit done for Charlie's party and blah blah, and because I work from home, I'm squeezing it in between shit I'm doing at home, where my husband works out of the home, so he ain't doing all this shit. He's working his ass off out all day and then coming home and doing shit, and I know that. But my Leo moon wants me to believe I'm the only one suffering in this, okay? And so the neglect thoughts will start, and what the narrative behind those is like, nobody ever fucking helps me. It's that whole weight of the world on my shoulders and no one to help me carry it. When that comes up now, like it just happened yesterday, I was like, girl, don't play. But because it came up, I'm like, hey, if there's just a part of me that just hasn't caught up to that learning yet, like I'm going to invite you to step forward into the learning and the understanding that no, we're not alone. We are still very much learning how to ask for help, and we love to feel alone so that we don't have to. ask for help, it's so much easier to sit and think about how nobody cares about me enough to help me than it is to ask for help. That's the truth. So I've just been trying to invite the parts of me, like, let's come forward, be in this energy where we know we're just overwhelmed. We're about to start our period. We're bitchy and tired and hungry. It ain't no thing, you know, but like, I'm really bad about dismissing myself a lot too. So I'm just trying to do that less, where I'm like, hey, there's a part of me, obviously, that's struggling with that. So let's just invite them in. I don't know that much about internal family systems, but the parts that I do know are really helping me. So I'm just trying to not dismiss myself anymore. But the fact that your mom was even able to own up to any of her shit, because I felt so seen the other day. I saw this TikTok and I read the comments about narcissistic caregivers, and so many comments resembled what I was told by my grandma, which was like, what she said to me was, well, your aunts, I'm sure, have had their feelings hurt by me before, and they would never dream of telling me that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, bitch, are you kidding? I was probably 22 around that time, like a little, maybe somewhere between 22 and 25, where I'm like, grandma, this shit you did really, like, and I'm not even talking about childhood shit. At that point, I didn't even realize how toxic she was in my childhood. I was talking about something she was doing currently to hurt me. And she was like, could not be bothered. Like, I can't believe you're even wasting my energy telling me this. And, you know, blah, blah. And she loved to do this thing too, which is really fucked up. I don't even think I think about this that much, but she loved to do this. She did this twice in my childhood, and she would say these things in my adulthood too. And you have to remember, my dad died when I was 15 and my mom died when I was like 22. So I already had tons of abandonment issues. My grandma would love to do that. I know, I guess I'm just the worst. I'm going to kill myself. And one time she, I don't even know if she still had a gun at this point, but she like acted like she did. And I was like, damn, dude, like, I got to worry about you killing yourself. And now in hindsight, maybe she really was, and she was just that emotionally immature that she thought it was okay to discuss that. I mean, she was very narcissistic, which really is just the inability to evolve emotionally. And so, like, hearing too about the pitting siblings against each other, that it's very strategic, I was like, oh God, I feel seen, because the shit that she did with us and her own children to pit them all against each other is like, damn. And just from what you've told me about your childhood, I can see that some of that happened there too. Just the very, like, sister's a little bit parentified, thinks that she can talk shit to you because, you know, she's allowed to. And then parents are just over here like, oh, well, why can't you just be like so-and-so? And the shit, like my grandma being like, your brother has such a better heart than you. He has a heart of gold. He'd give his shirt off his back, blah, blah. You're mean. You're selfish, you know, just shit like that. And I'm like, damn, grandma, why you got to hit me like that?
You know, what's the craziest thing is that the scenario that you gave with the whole parentified sister, and then parents saying like, oh, it can be like her. You know, that actually, I wish that was more of my scenario, but it actually wasn't. So and I'm going to be kind of brief with it because it's actually got me in trouble in the past with being public about it. But like my sister had like her own vendetta against me. My parents, I would say my parents didn't cause it, but they didn't do the best with defending me and stopping it. So my parents weren't like the initiators. Like, they didn't do anything where they were pinning my sister against me. My sister was just doing it all on her own. And this all started because I was born. I mean, I said I don't want to talk about my eye. I'm going to end up talking about my eye. I was born with congenital cataracts. I was already born with like problems. And my parents had to focus on me. Naturally, a parent would focus on the child that was born with problems, just because, you know, naturally.
Well, and you were the baby, so naturally,
yeah,
you're
so
gonna have a higher need.
Yeah. And at that time, my sister was 6, and so, but you know, when you're 6 years old, you don't like really understand. So it kind of was seen more like she was neglected, and I got all the attention. So my mom thinks that could have been why, even though logically it's not my fault.
Sure.
You know, it's already bad enough that I had that problem and I had to have surgery at 1 month old, and I still deal with problems, and then I'm going to be dealing with problems for the rest of my life. And so it kind of sucks. It's like I already have to deal with this shit, and then now I got my sister on top of me because of X, Y, and Z with my parents, and like being tormented and stuff. So yeah, so that was kind of more of what it was like versus like my parents. I don't think they really compared us. I think that was one thing I got lucky with.
Never like in charge of you.
Not really. I mean,
Like
if
after
anytime
school,
that
anything like that.
I mean, when I was like when she just got her car and I was in 6th grade, my mom would ask if she can like pick me up, but I don't know if my sister. I mean, I guess that moment, but I think it was just my sister was already on her way home, and since it was like I think my sister. I don't know if my sister liked it. I know I liked it because I felt cool being picked up by my sister.
Yeah.
I don't remember if my sister cared or not, to be honest with you, but I
Probably
think it was
not.
yeah, I don't know, but that was really the only thing. Or if my parents were out for the night. I mean, she's the oldest, but it wasn't like she was like making me dinner or doing this. Like we just fend for ourselves, but she would just obviously be the one in charge because she's the oldest.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it. But besides that, no, like she wasn't out here like I remember this one time when I was in 1st grade. I was crying in during lunchtime. It's the funniest story. I started crying in lunchtime because one kid told my crush that I liked him. Like I know it's something so silly like
that.
that.
I had something like that happen.
Yeah, and I started bawling my eyes for like the
Mhm.
whole period. So the teachers had to put me eat lunch with my sisters in my sister's period.
Oh.
So, all the kids in her class were like, oh, when I was telling the story about the boy and whatever. And then my sister was like, oh my God. Like my sister was so annoyed that I had to like be in her lunch. So like, I remember that my sister was not happy about that. But yeah, besides, at least from my memory, I mean, who knows? She can maybe have a different story
Right.
for all I know.
Well, she's 6 years older than you.
Yeah.
Well, so the interesting paradigm with that is that you're really truly both being raised as only children because you're not playing with each other. You're not like that 2-year age gap where you're learning to share because you're constantly fighting, over toys, clothes, things like that, which you guys may have done clothes shit, but the fashion's usually not even the same.
We are
6 years
such
apart.
different. We have such different lives,
right?
Like
So
different styles.
You're so
like
different, which could happen even when you are born close together. But like 6 years apart, really, you don't have the dynamics that you do when you're really close in age. They're there, but it's a weird. It's just this weird paradigm, and I can see where. I mean, I've never met a single sibling that doesn't feel like their sibling was treated better. No one. I've never. My brothers always said I had it the easiest because I was grandma's favorite. I was very much not her favorite. She made it very clear who her favorite was. She said it like my little brother was very much her favorite, just like my fucking mom was when she was raising her first 5. But because I made her life easier because I was the golden child, she did reward me for that. And the only way that she knew how, she'd give me extra money if she had it, or you know what I mean? And she used me as her fucking therapist my whole life. So they perceived all of that very differently. But I'm like, well, yeah, she's not like really yelling at me because I'm making sure to be perfect. So yeah, like it on the outside, it could look, but anytime they were running away from home and stressing her the fuck out, who do you think she took all that out on? Me. I would get accused. She would do things which this maybe doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But when you're doing everything you can to literally be perfect and please someone and they say something like this, very crushing. She loved to be like, you're probably doing the exact same shit your brothers are. You're just smarter and know how to hide it better. And she would say it with such just malice in her voice, on her face. And it was like, damn, do you fucking hate me? Because actually, I make sure to never do any of that shit so that I don't hurt you. Like, I'm literally over here. My thought was, I just want to give you one good kid, like one kid that's not giving you any trouble all through these years out of the 8 that you've raised, because all 5 of her kids did some teenage shit. I'm not saying they were bad. Some of them were bad. But like, I mean, my fucking mom ran away at 14 and then, you know, ended up getting pregnant and all the things. But like, I was just trying to make it easy on her, you know? But so it's just this constant like comparison and whatever. And now I understand truly, now that I've been the psycho mom at any given point in my history of being a mother, I get exactly what's happening in those moments. And it really is just this triggered stream of consciousness that's just coming out. You don't even really want to say half the shit you're saying when you're in this lecturing place that's just, you know, I had 2 very different sides of me, my Gemini ass, as I was like freaking out, like, you know, especially like with my husband or something. I'm saying all this shit, and then this other side of me is like, you don't even want to be having this fight right now. But like, I had no skills or tools to back the fuck out of a conversation like that. Like now I'm so much better. I still suck at apologizing. I really do. It's a form of vulnerability that's really fucking hard for me, but I know how to shut the fuck up now. Because used to, I could not shut the fuck up. Like once it started and I was in the red, there was no coming out of the red until I was just physically spent from acting like a fucking psycho for 2 hours, you know?
Yeah. For me, I'm trying to think like times where, let's say if I get really angry or whatever, you know, I feel like, there's different levels as you were saying, but I noticed that when I get like, if I start screaming, I'm like, okay, now I need to remove myself from the situation. So that's where how I usually do it. And actually I'm thinking like there was this one time where like, I think my mom was doing something to annoy me. I don't know what she was doing, but she was triggering me. And I was like, Mom, can you stop? And then she kept doing it. And I just said, I told you, like, can you stop? And then she walks away and she does it again. And I'm like, okay. And I'm here like it's building. So when she came back one more time, I had no control. I couldn't control myself. And I said, can you shut the fuck up?
Oh, baby. How old are you? When was this?
I don't know, like last year.
Oh my fucking God.
Like it wasn't that long ago. And
I'm scared.
But the thing is too, is that like my mom just kind of took it. She just kept quiet and walked away because she knows, like she knows me and I know her, and she knew that sometimes she can't control what she does because she was triggering. Then I think that she just knows, like if she pinches, I don't know, like touches the wrong buttons or whatever, like I could snap like that. And the thing is like, yeah, I can. If you get me to a point, you would see a different side of me that like I literally cannot control. And I guess that's where the BPD comes in. And so it was like a moment where I'm just like, I didn't even think before it came out. I was like when she came out and she says something, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
She's like, but see, she's probably like me, where like, because my husband has always been so calm and just taken any ounce of shit I have given him, the worst thing he'll say is like, you're really starting to piss me off. Yeah. But that's enough to get me to shut the fuck up, because I know that I've really pushed you if you're going to say that. And like one time in 16 years, he said something like, no, you are acting like a bitch. One time. That's the worst thing the boy has ever said to me. And of course I made like a really big deal out of it, even though like I've said much worse. But she probably knew. She was like, oh, I pushed too far. I should probably shut the fuck up then.
I remember actually, like when I was in high school, I almost got detention or suspended, who knows, where this kid, and he was like my friend kind of. I was a freshman in high school, and at that time we had in high school, it was between 7th and 12th grade. Like there were 7th graders there. And sometimes they'll be mixed in the hallways. So I was waiting to go in for English class, and he was in an English class, and he comes to me. He's like, oh, sorry, I almost tripped over you. I thought you were a 7th grader. And at that time, I was like insecure about my height because I would get made fun of for being really short. And so he would just like do things to trigger me, or he kept doing or whatever. And so I snapped and I grabbed his face And then all of a sudden he started bleeding, and I was like, oh shit. But I wasn't trying to make it like that wasn't my intention. I was kind of like,
yeah, you were just
but I
like,
guess it was my yes, exactly. And then like I guess my nails were like really, I guess, long that week or whatever. So all of a sudden you just see like a scratch. It looked like a freaking claw. He looked like he got attacked by a cat. And I remember, I'm thinking back at it now, and I'm like, oh my God, I had like a skin underneath my. I know. I think about it now. It's because it's disgusting. But I freaked out because I didn't mean to. It wasn't like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. It was just, it was kind of one of those moments where I blacked out.
Yeah.
It was like a blackout moment, kind of. Well, I don't know about blackout, but it happened, and I didn't have control.
You were not in control. Yeah.
I was not in control, and then when that happened, I was like, fuck. And then so I started freaking out because I was like, oh shit, I obviously was getting sent to the principal's office when that happened. And then I'm thinking like, oh my God, mom's gonna freaking kill me. So that started going crazy. And I was like literally in the principal's office crying. And then the other kid was with me in the other chair. And he was just like, I'm fine, like we're friends. She didn't mean like he was, because at the end of the day, him and like, he wasn't an enemy. He was just being annoying.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. Like I didn't want to hurt him. It was just he's just also known for being super irritating and annoying. But like I don't dislike
ADHD, you know?
Probably. Who knows? But like at the end of the day, like I said, he wasn't an enemy. We weren't trying to we didn't have any problems. It was just an incident that wasn't meant to be escalated. So the principal was just like, okay, fine, we'll just give you a warning. And I don't think my mom ever found out. I probably would tell her now, but she'd be like, okay, what the fuck? But like, yeah. So like, it's crazy, and I never forget it because it was like traumatic. I was like, oh shit, I made it. I didn't expect I'm like, what's? Yeah, so I think if I mess around with people, I'll be like, don't fuck with me. I made a kid bleed in freshman year.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, you don't want to know what
you don't want to know what I'm capable of.
Huh?
As a joke, I'll do that. I'll be like, you don't want to fuck with me, like.
Well, see, and it's usually like much more common to see like because you were struggling not just with your parents but your sibling. I would have expected you to get into a lot more fights in school.
You know, and probably the reason I haven't is because I was so scared of my mother.
Yeah, I feel that too.
I knew if I did, it would just be like if she would scream and do all this stuff if I get like a bad grade. Imagine what she would do if I got into fights. I think I would be like, I think it was more like I'll be scared for my life. Like she would like beat the crap out of me or something like that. I mean, I don't know I don't think she would have, considering, like I said, her childhood. But then again, it's like unpredictable. So I think, like I said, like I would get into if I get into any little trouble, she would take it to like 100. So I think in my head, it's like if I do anything.
You're like, I'm getting kicked out if I fight.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think that kept me from, I guess, beating people up. But I'm trying to think of like if I did anything.
Do you remember feeling that level of anger a lot though? Not necessarily where you're like losing that level of control, but like super angry.
Yeah, because I know this for a fact because I look at my old Facebook statuses from like 14 years ago. And oh my God, I
have to delete the memories when they come up. It's too much. They're too cringy.
But it's also just like not healing, but it kind of helps me understand myself better. And there was one that I need to tell you. I obviously I don't remember it happening, but I saw it and then I sent it to my boyfriend and I was just like laughing. He's like, his answer was like, what the fuck? And so pretty much apparently I comment, I mean, it was my status. Yeah, it was my status. And I was having a conversation and one of my answers back was like, I'm in the mood to kill a hoe. You up for it? And then and then the girl back is like, well said, hoe. Would a hoe fit in a garbage bag? Or something like that. And I'm literally reading this conversation and I'm just like, so when you ask me this question, yeah, I think so. I probably was a little angry in high school.
A little bit.
Time to kill a hoe. You up for it? Like, what's
because it's always so interesting to me to like meet people past their anger because it's so hard to imagine it.
I'm so angry. I'm just better at hiding it.
Really?
I'm not as angry. I think right now I'm not angry currently, but my life's kind of like very stressful at the moment.
Right.
I think I'm more just like sad with more like situational depression.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing.
And
Right,
you're hitting
just
that hypoarousal place
yeah,
where it's
but
like there's too much. I'm weighed down. I'm just gonna sludge my way
yeah,
through this shit.
it's between like the state of our country with our shitty dictator, and then what else? Oh, I lost a huge client because of tariffs.
Oh yeah.
So I've been doing so much food delivery just to make my car payment. So it's just been very
Baby, I'm
depressing.
with you. Trust me, this is the life I've been living for a year now where I don't even know when I'm gonna get to pay my bills. And
Yeah.
it's worth it. It is, but damn it, it's stressful. And yeah, I was having some issues with one of my kids. And so for like 6 months, I was just doing, anything, I'm very present in that day. And I
Yeah.
just try really hard to not think about yesterday or tomorrow. I just really what's in front of me for today and getting through each day in the best way I can. Not like white knuckling it, but how can I get through this with as much joy and as much peace as I can possibly garner out of a situation that's really fucking stressful and overwhelming. And then, I got the PMDD. So you throw that shit in there every fucking month, 2 weeks out of the month, I'm like battling my brain.
Yeah.
Because I've been so busy in this house, it's actually not been, I'm reacting like a psycho to a lot of shit. But like yesterday, I walked out of my room and I said, listen, family, mama hasn't eaten today. I fucking have PMS and I'm just at my limit. And I'm asking you all to just overlook.
I like
as
that.
long as nobody engages with me, like the shit that really irritates me when I'm like this is like I say something and one of my family members happens to enter into a conversation at the very end. So they want me to repeating myself when I'm in a place is one of my biggest triggers. So I keep finding myself being really fucking rude to my kids and my husband. So then I'm learning how to have those conversations afterwards. I fucking hate it when I do it, but it's also like, God, if you just stay the fuck away from me right now.
Yeah, no,
They
I'm
love
like that
me, man. They want to be
during-
around me and I need some quiet. Like I'm not well right now. I
Yes.
can't be fucking I'm stressed and I'm fucking agitated. I don't want to be agitated, but that's what my PMS does. It's a level of
Yeah.
energy that I have to constantly work through.
Oh, I get that. Every time that happens to me and I know my PMS is coming, I always tell my boyfriend. And I was just like, just letting you know it's coming. So, because I have one day where it's really, really bad. Where it's like, if you literally talk to me, even saying hi or even look at me, like I will literally claw your eyes out.
Yeah. No, I just
So-
try to stay the fuck away from all of it. I'm serious. I spend so much time in my room whenever I
Yeah.
feel like this because I don't want to hurt people who love me, but I also am only capable of so much. And so they also have to understand when I ask for the space respectfully, they need to honor that. Like 'cause my boys now are 18 and 22. 18-year-old, he's never even here. So he's like, yeah, you do you, mom, whatever. But my 22-year-old and my almost 11-year-old, they both like want to hang out with me and do stuff and whatever. And I'm like, I love you too, but right now I'd rather some quiet. You're asking me to give something I don't have to give. But I'm getting better. Like every month I feel like I'm managing that shit a little bit better. But when you have like financial stress on top of anything else, because honestly, sometimes the way I get through the small shit is being like, if I had everything I ever wanted, would this thing bother me? And the answer is usually no. Like, because if I wasn't stressed about finances, which is kind of what I'm asking myself, like if you had money and you were able to pay your bills on time right now, would this thing bother you? And like, no, okay, so I've just got some stress that I'm letting the small shit add up. I'm gonna let the small shit go.
And this is I was thinking like, okay, if I didn't have any financial stress, like would I be feeling like this? Well, one, of course I will be less stressed out, but when you do have money, you can also take a vacation, get a massage, like do this, do that. And and then I was thinking like, okay, well, I don't be running from my problems. I could be like, oh, if I have the money, I can go out more. Cause there's so much to do in Orlando. Like I can literally, if I had a lot of money, like I would be so busy. And I'm like, maybe I'm can be more depressed when you're home more. And
that's what I think is happening to me, because every day it's harder for me to actually get ready. Like, because I'm not fucking leaving this house. I do miss leaving the house. I really do. And although if I have to, I get pissed. So it's just because it's not a habit, you know, like
Well, now I have to with the food delivery.
Well, yes, I mean, yes. And see, the reason that I don't do that is like we're not set. I don't live like Florida is just different, you know.
Mhm.
Whereas like when I've tried it, it didn't end up being worth the money for me because I will only go to certain areas because I was way too scared going to a couple of places by myself. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to be like afraid of getting murdered while I'm doing this. And then it was just like,
just do it depressed, you'll be fine. That's what I say. Just do it depressed so you just don't care. I know how
I totally know what you
sounds.
mean by that. I have done things like that.
I was like, it's so sad to say, but the only great thing about depression when you're doing food delivery is that you're not scared to go to the sketchy areas.
No, you're not. You're not. Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, I
quote me on that
because I'm like, is this depression? Like, because like I just have such a hard time. But then once like the stress with my kid was over and I felt the weight lift and everything seemed brighter, I was like, oh, okay, I was just really stressed. Like, and I am really purposeful though about doing things. Like I started playing solitaire, like actual solitaire with cards, playing cards with my kids, like little games and shit, just at least once a day to just joy. How can I purposely cultivate joy and peace? And they say, you know, clearly I haven't found the secret to manifesting. Like, that's the truth because I haven't fucking done it. Like, where's my money? But I do believe that my life is much fuller and brighter when I can get into the energy of fun, joy, peace, abundance. And, you know, I like to say all the time, like, everything works out for me because it fucking does. And I still have a place to live. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's stressful to pay the bills, but eventually I can.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I really have been trying to build this foundation of gratitude for what I do have, even though it is very stressful.
Yeah. Now I think about that too. And like, even though I lost that big client, because that client, like, I would depend on that payment every month to put towards my car. And so when I lost that, I was like, crap, well, I need to obviously still pay my car. And then, like, besides my car, all my other bills are attached to my credit card credit cards. And I have a very large credit line. So I know I never have to worry about not paying my bills on time. So they're all on auto pay. So at least I don't have to ever worry about that, which is nice. But I also don't like to see the balance piling up.
No, I get it.
I mean, I'm still like, obviously I every month do have some income and I do bring it down, but I don't have to worry about my bills not getting paid.
Yeah.
So the only one I had to worry about was my car because they need real cash. You can't, you know, I mean, I guess it's better to have it like that than to obviously attach to my credit card. So I don't want to get interest on interest.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, you gotta be grateful for that. But I also, you know, I don't like how, like, for example, after this, me and my boyfriend would go to the movies to see Lilo and Stitch, and I'm really excited. And I was like, I want to have the experience of getting popcorn and soda and whatever, but I'm like, oh my God, should I get that? It's like, I don't want to think like that, you know?
I know. It's like an adjustment when you're not, because I used to live that life every day. And then I got my career and, you know, we had a double income and I had a few streams of income and I was able to afford that lifestyle before. I still have all the same shit and not the same amount of money. And so sometimes I know why it's not happening for me yet because I'm learning a lot in this period. And we don't grow from happiness. We just don't. When we're content, we don't grow.
You got me thinking, actually, because I told my mom, I was on the phone with her, and I was like, hey, Mom, you know, I think it's okay that I'm poor because I am an aspiring actress, so I'm supposed to be poor. And then my mom's like, well, she was like laughing. She's like, well, you're not a waitress. You're supposed to be waitressing right now. And I'm doing something food related,
like
freaking
I sort of
food delivery. I'm still getting really shitty tips. And, I'm still doing it. And like, I'm trying to do TikTok shop too, as well.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I need to follow you on TikTok.
Yeah, you really should. I'm trying to get to 5,000 followers. And so
follow me in the beginning. And follow me on fucking YouTube. I'm trying to grow my subscribers.
Yeah. So follow me on TikTok. I'll follow you back. And then that'll remind me to follow you on YouTube.
Is it just under this name? Like under your name, or is it
Mentally
under the
just
podcast?
yeah, it's mentally.
Oh,
just
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think you
yeah.
follow the podcast one already, but my personal one's mentally just Dean.
Okay,
So
I'll find you.
yeah, in the beginning of me doing TikTok shop, I made like 6 sales, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, and I was like, dang, and then now I'm struggling to get sales. And I'm like, dang, I jinxed it. But it's
No,
okay.
the same
But-
shit happens to me. The same fucking shit. Justine, thank you for telling me that, because this is the thing. Every time something happens that makes me think that broke it open, like, here we go. Mama ain't gonna have to stress anymore. Done. Every fucking time. Well, that's what made me think initially, like, oh, I'm not sitting in gratitude enough for like let's say I got those 6 sales. Instead of being like, oh my God, these 6 sales are everything. I'm so grateful for these 6 sales, and leaving it at that, I'd be like, oh my God. And I start dreaming of all the sales and da-da-da. I'd kind of leave that. I'd kind of leave the gratitude for the 6 I got, and I'd be over in zoned off world.
True,
And I think
you're so right. And I think that's what I did wrong, is that I am very grateful when I got the sales, like, oh my God, this is so amazing.
I know, but it's almost immediate.
But then it's like, it's really hard to not be like, oh, I want this and this, because like I'm in so I joined a Facebook group for like TikTok affiliates for the purpose of just like having other people like, ask questions, this and that.
Yeah.
And it's good for that. But like a lot of people post their earnings because they, they post their.
That would hurt me. Don't show me you're doing so much better than me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, it gets me excited. I try to look at it that way. I mean, there's some people who post and like their earnings are like not a lot, and they're like, oh, what's happening? But then there's some people who like, there's this one girl, she posted and she was like, guys, I made my first 10K month or whatever. And I was like, oh, but it's exciting how that could be possible. That's what the exciting part is.
And it is possible, yeah.
Yeah, it's on cap, which I like. And so, but that's the reason why I'm gonna get the 5,000 followers, because right now my account is restricted to only 3 shoppable videos a week. No, sorry, 5. 5 shoppable videos a week and 3 lives. So like, but once I unlock the 5,000, I could do unlimited. Obviously, like of course, if something goes viral, whatever, I can make a lot of sales.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of me, you can't really put much in the lottery.
Yeah.
But another nice thing too is like, if here and there, like I'll get free stuff. Like I just got this like really fancy vitamin thing. It's like 3 different supplements, but it's like a high-end one where like the commission is like really good. It's like $25 for commission. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus the high commission one. I mean, I can get like a couple of sales on that one. But yeah, and I got like a couple of free books, and my first sample that got approved was actually about attachment theories.
Oh,
so I was like, of course that'd be the one that I would get approved. And so far, I sold 2 books for that. I made
that's
a whole $4.
cool.
I made a whole $4 in commission. I'm stinking rich.
Hey, just like on Podmatch, I don't give a fuck. I my checks are getting bigger every month, and this one for May was no, I guess June was like $74.
Yeah, mine was like 90 something.
I'm like, hey, that was money I didn't have. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. And so what was I saying? So anyway, she gave me the 2 other books because there's different ones. She has multiple ones. And so I'm gonna talk about that one. But another thing too, I'm seeing people post in the group is that not only than that, if a seller sees that you're doing really well, making a lot of sales, they may consider doing a retainer. And so that would be better because that's more consistency. So that's it. Like, it's cool that that's like something that's possible, And if a seller likes your video, they'll like promote it as in like they'll put an ad behind it. So I really hope that I can get one of the lucky ones and they'll put an ad behind it. And there's people talking in the group being like, oh, should we allow that? Or should we charge extra if they put an ad behind it? And I'm just like, it's a good thing if they're putting an ad behind it because you're getting more exposure on your account and you're more likely to get more sales, and they're paying for your video to be pushed. Like for me, I'm just like, I don't understand why you even say no to that, but also I haven't been in the game for that long. So I don't know, there could be things I may not know, but I hear that. I'm trying on that. And then sorry, one more thing. I've been going live on TikTok lately.
I applied to be able to go live, and I don't know now.
How many followers do you have?
I think over
if you have
1,000, but I don't remember.
If you have over 1,000, you should automatically be allowed to go live But if you have
Well,
under
now I'm
1,000,
curious. I'm gonna look again because I remember thinking like I should have been able to. But it was not that long ago that I have 2,105.
3, 5. Sorry. Sorry. I'm like looking at this. Well, yeah, I mean, you should automatically, like, if you have 1,000 followers, you should be allowed. And then if you have under 1,000, I think that's
I
you have
don't
to be
know why
invited.
it was shit bitching me, but I finally got over the fear of going live. So I went to do it and it was like, oh, you got to fill out this application. So I was like, okay.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
then I never even like
Yeah,
maybe it
it's
was like not maybe it was like a different type of live or something, and I don't know shit
maybe.
about
What's
TikTok.
What's your handle?
I think it's emotionally unavailable pod.
Emotionally unavailable.
And it's also or you could try at MD Hepner. I don't know which one you search for.
Or how about you just type in mentally Justine and follow me?
Okay.
I think that'd be easier. But I've made like $2.50 off going live because like people can send you
I
gifts.
love that. I'm so
And-
scared, but I'm gonna do it.
Oh my God, I was terrified. The first time I really did like a long live for like 2 hours, I was like, I drank a whole bottle of wine, which probably wasn't the best thing for me to do.
I'm gonna have to do something. Maybe I'll take a little Eddie.
Oh yeah, so you have like 2,000 followers. You should be able to go live automatically.
Yeah, it didn't let me, man. This was
Well-
not that long ago, though. It was probably just
Well-
like a month ago that I tried.
Well, you click like, you click the plus button and it should be when you move it all the way to the side, it should say live.
Yeah, it didn't
Uh,
let me.
Oh, that's weird.
I'll try again soon. Not until this fucking birthday party's over and my life
We should
goes
go
back
live
to normal.
together. We should go live together.
We
That'd be
should.
fun.
Well, this is the thing. I've been trying to find more people to do things like that with, because me talking to myself, it's just not the same. But me storytelling, like I know that's where my magic is. So when I'm just talking to somebody else, you get like a very good sense of who I am through these interactions. It works better for me. It took me a while to get over the fear of going live on Instagram, and I've never done it by myself, but I like to do it with other people because that's the whole point anyway, is you get a better idea of who I am when you hear me talk to somebody else.
Yeah, true. No, I agree with you on that.
I would love to go live with you. Well, love, thank you so much for being again. You have made my day so much better. I'm going to be able to finish getting this little girl's room put together and a house clean in a much better place. I hope you guys like Lilo and Stitch.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. I love that movie. I haven't seen the new live action, but I bet it's going to be great. Actually, her room, it was Lilo and Stitch themed. So, well, it wasn't Lilo and Stitch. It was Stitch and Angel, but I've been ripping like the what are those stickers, like, are they acrylic stickers? What are
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's part of what I've been doing, is ripping stickers off of
I think they're called decals.
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have stay Friday. Hell yeah. Fabulous Friday. I just remembered before we hopped on that I completely forgot to post today's episode. So I've got to do that when we hang up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a really good conversation with you.
Yeah. Hey, we should do more together. Seriously. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. Because honestly, I this is the truth, Justine. I've been feeling a pull to start alongside this podcast, another one with someone else. That's only one episode a week, because I do 3 on mine and I'm not going to change that. But so, let that marinate, see if it's something you ever think you'd be interested in. Because I just keep thinking about it, and I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to. So
what's crazy is that I actually was thinking the exact same thing. And there was this other girl, I asked her, but she just had a lot on her plate. So she said no. And because her podcast is called Dare to Be Iconic. And it's about like women empowerment and things like that. And then, it's mental health. And so I was thinking, like with her and I, it can be like either mentally iconic or like bad, or like badass, or I don't know, mentally
iconic badass.
That iconic badass, like something like that. Yeah, because her and I know each other. But like, oh, it's an easy conversation. But yeah, she had a lot on her plate. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get that. But I did tell her that if I were to consider doing another podcast, like outside of this podcast with somebody else, the only thing is that I don't think I have the mental capacity for like editing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like doing whole production. Like I kind of just want to like show up and talk.
Yeah.
Instead of,
you know, I don't edit shit anymore on my show really. But that's what I'm thinking too, is very like, and I don't have a vision at all. Just me with somebody else. I haven't
emotionally a badass.
I got your brain working. See, let it sit.
I feel like it has to like mix. But no, I like what you're saying. Because I think too, we live in Wyoming,
Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma, yes. Because I think I remember it was Oklahoma, yes. Because I was looking at my analytics and like I've been getting a lot more listeners from there. I've been noticing.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
It like lit up, and I was like, I couldn't tell. Hold on, I'll be like real. Let me just pull up. I use Podcorn, and it should show me like the map right away when I pull it up here. But I remember I was like seeing a lot more listeners. Yeah, Oklahoma is my second most, like at least for the last 30 days, it's my second most popular area.
How fun.
So I was like, okay.
That means we would be well supported to do a live show here.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, like I said, I would say like, let me just let it sit before I agree to anything.
Absolutely. I'm throwing it up. You're the first person I've asked. So
I like the idea.
It felt like the right thing. So just take 5 days. It's not going to hurt me in one way or another if you say no, because if it's not meant for us, it's not. But if I felt it, I had to ask, you know?
Yeah. Like I think like you and I would do great on it because we like talk so easily together. I'm just very like picky with certain things when it comes to podcast production. That's the only thing really, as I will have to like talk with. It's just I'm just like that. It's my brain. It comes from my YouTube era. But
oh my God. Yeah, you have
I
so
think
much
like
experience
also
with that.
I think also like doing a collab podcast. Like actually when I was at PodFest, they recommended that. That was one of the things when they were talking about ways of growing. They're like, oh, so this idea is something that probably you guys would probably be like, what the fuck? Well, they didn't say what the fuck. And they're like doing another podcast. Like, oh, but hear us out. And they're like, hear us out. They're like, it would be a podcast with like two podcasters. And it's a way to have both audiences meeting each other.
You know, I wonder if it was me running your ads for a couple of like 2 or 3 episodes.
You're in ads on me?
Listeners. Remember we did an ad swap. I ran that for like 3 episodes.
Oh shit. I could be because I started, like I said, I started getting a lot more like I started seeing an increase in listeners in Oklahoma. And before that, I didn't have like, I mean, maybe I have like 1 or 2, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, hey, we know that they work. You know what's crazy? I had an increase in followers too. I don't know where they're fucking from, but maybe some of them are your audience.
Yeah, no, probably. So I guess.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about this. I need to do more swaps with people.
I know. I didn't even think about that either. Oh, now we know.
I'm gonna ask Heather from Hot Mess Espresso. Like,
I need to like talk with her. I didn't even.
You should. You would like her.
Oh, I can tell. And like I said, she's commented on things before. Like I said, she's interacted with me.
Yeah.
She just never like privately DM'd me or
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Well, she's definitely following your work but you guys both stand Amy, and so I think you know.
I don't even know her and Amy work. I feel like there's so many people from Podmatch, and there's like so many like people where it's like, okay, how does one connect with one?
Yes. You know what I
mean?
We're all kind of meeting the same people. It's so funny to me, but I love it. Yeah. Like I finally do kind of feel like, you know, I'm becoming a part of a community in the podcast community, and I've been toying around with the idea of creating a pod fest myself, but something cool. Like in Texas. So I've been playing with that, but I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I've been sitting. I'm in a waiting period right now where I decide if that's a task I need to take on right now.
I would say like, you know, it'd be really cool. I don't know, because PodFest, that would be a lot to organize, but maybe it would be cool. Maybe like a retreat in Texas.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, I was just thinking like different panelists talking, like a mental health panel where they talk about the overlap between like, like sharing your real life struggles on a mental health podcast, things like that. I've just had ideas, but yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about it because I've made so many friends in the Texas area that do podcasts that I'm like, well, we should at least do a meetup. But I feel like we could turn a meetup into something that gets us more connections.
Yeah, they have meetups. If you go to like Eventbrite, there's like this company that's kind of associated with PopFest, and they do like little meetups here.
Really? I'll have to look on Eventbrite.
Yeah, I mean, the nearest one to me was one of the beaches. I forgot which beach it was, but I went. It was like an hour for me, and I was like, I met some people. I connected with like one person really well, and then like the connection kind of dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so there's some people that do it, but yeah.
We'll just let this shit marinate. We'll talk about it. Again, nothing's gonna hurt my feelings. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. But can't know that unless you ask someone. So
yeah, I just gotta like kind of look at my life and see what makes
hell yes,
sense.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand completely. All right, have so much fun at the movie. I'll send you all the love and light.
All right, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Bye. You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelissahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops. Emotionally unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming. Emotionally unavailable.
INDEPE and cut.